Welcome to the Building Doors Podcast, where we're not just pushing for opportunities for women's voices to be heard, we're creating them. I'm Christy Harst, voiceover actor and creator of the Building Doors campaign. Join us as we amplify voices, break barriers, and build doors together.
Hey, everyone. I'm Sandy Harrison Cooksey, and I'm a proud Building Door ambassador for the Building Doors campaign. Over the past year, I've watched this campaign grow, not just in size, but in impact. Conversations are shifting, representation is being challenged, and doors are opening, one by one. And leading that change is someone who shows up with vision, clarity, and grit every single time. So please put your questions and comments in the chat. All questions will be answered immediately following the address. Tonight, she's here to share where we are, where we're going, and why this matters more than ever. This is the State of Building Doors. Please welcome Christy Harst.
Wow, that was a great intro. Sandy Harrison Cooksey, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Wow. That was very impressive. I need to pause now. Here we go. When I was in high school and college, I worked at 3 different country clubs as a server and a hostess. 2 of those clubs had a men's grill. It was a place where no women were allowed, just a place for men to be men. I remember thinking how crazy it was, even back then, that such a sexist place existed. Years later, after working in many different industries and all different types of offices, I can say with much confidence, there are still plenty of proverbial men's grills out there. They are rooms where it doesn't matter how hard you've worked, doesn't matter how skilled you are, talented, or how many awards you've won. If you're a woman, you're not welcome. They are rooms where decisions are made, opportunities are bestowed, and control is tightly kept. Gender is not the reason you shouldn't have access to an opportunity. But a lot of people still disagree with me. A recent Joe Politics and IPSOS poll found that 51% of men aged 16 to 24, I think we call those people Gen Zers, they believe that promoting women's equality has led to discrimination against men. I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute and simmer. Gen Zer men believe that promoting women's equality has led to discrimination against men, which is probably why I hear comments like this all the time. Christy, maybe it's not a lack of opportunity to these auditions and gigs. Maybe you're just not good enough. I don't want to hear a bunch of women talking about football after a game on TV. Men are just better at it. It's like asking cats to bark. The only time I want to hear a woman is when she sounds sexy. I think I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. The reason some people say these things is because they firmly believe that women have a place, and it's nowhere near the roles or spaces that they think exclusively belong to them. And if you're a man and you're listening or watching, and you have a daughter, a sister, a cousin, an aunt, a partner, a woman in your life that you care about, this should upset you just as much as it upsets me. Ask yourself this: how would you feel if your daughter was denied the chance to even apply for her dream job simply because she's a woman? Would you tell her to accept it? Or would you tell her to fight for more? Because it's not just about women being excluded. It's about the people you love being told they don't belong. And that's exactly why I started Building Doors. to challenge those rooms, to disrupt the gatekeeping, and to make sure every voice has a chance to be heard. Welcome to the State of Building Doors live address. Thanks for joining me. I'm Christy Harst, voiceover actor, speaker, and founder of Building Doors. Today, I'm going to share why I launched the campaign, reveal new data that strengthens the case for gender equality in voiceover, outline our goals for the coming year, and explain why the mission matters and how you can help us build doors around the world. I want to thank Sandy Harrison Cooksey again for that amazing intro. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Marion Mills, the campaign ambassador, is monitoring the chat live on Instagram. And you may see me looking down at notes because let's be real, I could talk about this for hours, but we can't be here for hours. So I have to have some sort of guide. So why did I start Building Doors? I was sick and tired of doing all the things that you're supposed to do. All the things that people tell you that you have to do to succeed and not getting any closer to my goal of voicing for male-dominated sports promos. A prominent LA agent told me that opportunities for women in these spaces were few and to go make my own noise. Well, since there was no door for me to knock on and no door for me to kick in, I decided to partner with women around the world and build one. Building Doors advocates for equal opportunities in voiceover by showcasing female voice actors revoicing ads that were originally voiced by men in male-dominated genres like sports, cars, and tech. What started as just a few social media posts, because I was kind of angry, has turned into something that some people have even called a movement. The success of the campaign has allowed us to have direct conversations, face-to-face, with major brands like the Cleveland Cavaliers, Valvoline, and Press X to Play Gaming. We are proud to have a growing community of supporters in 13 different countries. What? Oh, no, let's not use that sound effect. We should use the wah, 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 wah. We have been featured on nearly 24 podcasts, and we've shown up at in-person events like the ESPNW conference in Brooklyn, New York. And that is thanks to Such a Voice and Paul Schmidt, who sponsored that trip. And we've also appeared at American Advertising Association meetings. And at the beginning of this month, we announced our community partnership with Source Elements. Wah, 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 wah. We've also built an engaged and fierce online community. Our community may be small, like we don't have 10K, 20K, 30K followers, but the followers that we have are so engaged and they show up. Building Doors has made real, tangible impact, and we have real stories to prove it. We regularly hear from women. We're just going to pause. Every voice actor has that word, or maybe there's two words, where every time you say them, you're like, oh God, please don't let this word be in the script. And then it shows up and then you start sweating bullets. That's one of those words for me. Regularly. We regularly. It's the ARLY. That's what it is. It's also particularly. Yeah, that's for me. Anyways, all right, time in. We often hear from women who say the campaign has inspired them to create demos in male-dominated genres, advocate for auditions even when the casting call says male voice only, share the Building Doors mission with producers, agents, and decision makers in VO-adjacent industries. There is one story that will forever stay with me because it was completely unexpected. I just woke up one morning, looked at LinkedIn, and I was tagged in a post by Helen Catherine Cernett. I didn't know Helen, but she shared the campaign, and she shared about how the campaign gave her the courage to push for access to a space she hadn't been invited to. She received this casting call, and it was titled, Male, Deep Voice Wanted. I'll do better. That was not good. I'll do better next time. I'll try again later. Anyways, you get the drift. She read the script and she thought to herself, well, yeah, I can do that. There's no reason my voice can't do that. So she reached out to them and said, hey, would you be willing to listen to my audition if I send it in? Not only did they tell Helen, come on, yeah, let's hear your audition, she ended up getting booked for the gig. That is the power of building doors. In 2024, we launched our live event series on LinkedIn and Instagram, covering everything from mental health to improv techniques. We also launched a podcast where we share door builder journeys and audio versions of our live events. And as the months progress, we are going to start featuring people who support building doors in VO adjacent lanes and share from their perspective what it's like to work in male-dominated industries. So we can share their stories of how they navigate it, and we can all learn from it. The campaign has helped women get booked, get heard, and get noticed in rooms that they've never been heard before. But we have a long way to go. So I want to talk about data for a minute. And that's also another word I don't have problem saying, but do you say it data or do you say it data? I've had clients tell me both ways, so maybe I'll just say it both ways. So let's talk about data for a minute. Did you know that last year in 2024, 39% of first-time golfers were women? Yet 84% of the commercials aired during the 2025 Masters were voiced by men. Seems a little lopsided, right? Did you know that women make up nearly 47% of Major League Baseball fans? Yet 62% of the ads aired during the opening day game of New York Yankees versus Cardinals were voiced by men. And did you know that nearly 48% of the NFL's total fan base is female? Yet 85% of the 2025 Super Bowl ads were voiced by, ding, 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 you guessed it, man. Brands are leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the table by failing to include more women, both in front of and behind the mic. So why sports? Oh, Christy, you're focusing so much on sports. There's so many other industries that are male-dominated. Why sports? Because sports broadcasts are where everything converges. Automotive, finance, tech, healthcare, you name it. Sports are our window into every major advertising category. There's not a lot of data out there about voiceover, especially not about women's voices and their perception in advertising. So I just decided to collect it myself. Oh, I was about to do the wah, 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 but I'm not going to. Maybe I should do this. Let's see if if there's Gen Xers, you'll get it. Na 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 na. Do you get it? Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. Okay, anyways, all right, going back. When I couldn't find the data, I collected it myself. Na 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 na. In a poll of nearly 350 members of the general public, 74% said that gender inclusivity in branding is either very important or important. 74% of the general public said, yeah, that's important to me. Industries most lacking in female voice representation. Now, this is just perception. In order: sports, auto, and tech. This isn't just about equality. It's smart business. Women influence 85% of all consumer purchases. And if you were to take that 26%, so you know how I said there's 74% that say gender inclusivity is important in branding and marketing. Well, what about that other 26%? In the poll that I conducted, that 26% said it didn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter to me. No big deal. I'll buy it either way. If brands did just a 5 to 10% lift with that 26% group that doesn't care, it could equal billions in untapped loyalty and spend. This isn't a woke issue. It's a market share opportunity. Next, I want to talk about global growth. I know, right? Global. Yes. Na, 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 na. Shortly after launching the campaign, I began receiving messages from women in other countries asking if I had planned to feature female voice actors revoicing ads in their own languages. And at first I said no. Because honestly, think about it. If an iconic Arabic language commercial was revoiced by a woman, it wouldn't land with an English-speaking audience. The cultural nuance and emotional weight would be lost if you hadn't seen the original. But the messages that I received made something very clear. Lack of representation is a global issue. That's why I created the Global Builder Ambassador Program. Throughout 2025, our global builders are introducing the campaign in their countries, meeting with voice actors, agents, and casting directors, and VO-adjacent professionals to share why Building Doors matters. Then in 2026, if the foundation is strong, I'll license the brand, allowing them to run their own campaigns in their native languages. We already have global builders in Egypt, Australia, and the UK, and more are coming. I know it. But global growth isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. I recently had a very powerful conversation that reminded me why this work must be led with both purpose and understanding of the unique barriers women face in different parts of the world. I spoke with a prominent female voice actor in Dubai. This lady is on business. She's no joke. She is like the top Arabic-speaking female voice actor in Dubai. Tis the top. And she said something to me after I pitched Building Doors to her that made me kind of take a step back. She said, Christy, Building Doors wouldn't work here. I was like, okay. And after listening to her, I couldn't agree more. Dubai is unique. It's a city of many cultures, but not a cohesive community, especially not in voiceover. Okay, so check this. If you're a voice actor and you're listening to this, there are no agents in Dubai. They don't have voiceover agents. Everybody's freelance. The people who hold the power, the relationship, the direct brand relationship are the studios. So studios have in-house rosters. So your goal as a freelancer is to get on the in-house roster and keep your fingers crossed that they use you. And nobody wants to rock the boat when it comes to that relationship. So let's say, for example, a US brand. Let's use a luxury brand like Rolex. Let's say they create a campaign in the US and they use a male voice. They send that spot to Dubai to be revoiced in Arabic. They don't think recasting. They're too scared. They don't want to mess up that relationship with the brand. So they just match the original tone. So much so, this woman told me, that let's say the US male voiceover actor said a word a certain way. Like, let's just use the word luxurious. So in the commercial, the man says, luxurious, right? He says it like that. I'm playing, right? They actually ask the Arabic-speaking voice actor, the male voice actor, to say the word luxurious the exact same way, but in Arabic. That's kind of hard. There's like more syllables and there's more noise. There's like different things, right? But that's how tightly they want to keep everything from the US branding campaign to the Arabic. So there's no chance they're even going to consider a woman. So what does that mean for Building Doors? It means this. What we do here matters everywhere. Every time we get a woman's voice behind the mic for spots in male-dominated genres in the US, we don't just build a door here. We create a new global standard, one that other markets must mirror whether they're ready for it or not. In countries where culture, patriarchy, and misogyny still block women from being heard, we may not be able to change the system overnight, but we sure as heck can change what the system has to follow. That's the power of what we're doing. We're not just building doors, we're crafting blueprints. And once they're set in motion, even the places that resist change will have no choice but to echo our progress. So, What's next for Building Doors? I want to increase awareness of our mission through speaking engagements. I speak on stage. I speak on stage. Why did I have to lift my hair like that? Anyone listening on the podcast, I was literally lifting my hair. Podcast appearances. I want to get on more podcasts and create viral-ready content. I want to continue to collect data that draws a straight line to brand revenue through inclusivity. I want to grow our podcast listenership and our live event engagement. I want to continue to expand globally and empower brand leadership. And I want to partner with organizations and brands that can help amplify women's voices. Now, that last one's a pretty broad statement. So, like, Christy, what does that mean? Well, I'll give you an example. In August, Building Doors is partnering with GVAA. We're going to do a webinar, and the whole focus is going to be on empowering women through negotiation and communication. So David Rosenthal will be handling the first part of the workshop and do live role plays of how to negotiate with a client. Because statistically speaking, women do not ask for what they're worth. They don't push for the rate. And then I'll be handling the second half where I'll walk through how I've been able to get to brands like the World Cup, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and share some of the tips that I have used to get to these conversations and also how long it takes to get to some of these conversations. I'm especially proud to share a new partnership with female horse jockey Katie Davis. Katie Davis is no joke. Go follow her on Instagram. She has over 300 wins, a young daughter, and was recently featured in the Netflix documentary Race to the Crown. And in October, oh my gosh, are you ready for this? I'll be a featured speaker at the International Sports Convention. They've asked me to present my research on female voices in male-dominated genres as a part of their 3-day pre-conference webinar series that leads up to the in-person one-day event in the UK. So you're probably listening to this and saying, great, this is all great, Christy, but how can I help? How can I help? The first answer is one that a lot of people don't like. And I know they don't like it because I get emails saying, yeah, I can do that, but I want to do more. Like, tag, and share our content. Every share helps get women's voices in front of millions of more eyes and ears than otherwise would have been. I understand that pressing a button doesn't seem like a lot. But in today's day and age, using your voice is more than just opening your mouth. By simply pressing a button, you can change someone's life. For example, Ashley Tirado. Ashley Tirado is a female voice actor who revoiced a spot the first month of our campaign for Honda Sport. Her post was shared and liked enough that it somehow got forwarded to an ad agency in Florida. That ad agency in Florida watched Ashley's reel and reached out to her and hired her to voice a slew of Honda spots. You have so much power in your voice and by simply pressing a button. By liking, tagging, and sharing content, it puts the brands on notice. It allows me to say, hey, did you see those 30 or 40 plus tags you got? Let's talk. It's a really big deal to like, share, and tag our content, and it's so easy to do. You can listen to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube Music. By the way, the last time I checked, we have a lot of 5-star reviews, just saying. You can support the mission financially. And I want to be real clear about what that means for me. I don't want to do a GoFundMe. I don't want to take money off the backs of voice actors. I want to provide an avenue for people who want to donate. And so that's why I chose buymeacoffee.com. buymeacoffee.com/buildingdoorsvo. What's great about this site is that you can go on and just give a nominal donation. You want to give $3, $5? Great. You want to give 25? Great. Do you want to buy me a coffee on a monthly basis? You can become a monthly sponsor. I don't eat dairy, but oat milk does froth up nicely. I like an oat milk latte. So that is one way that you can support the mission financially. You can also wear our swaggy swag. I'm going to hold this up. This is our water bottle, and it says, I support equal opportunity for women in voiceover. I will be taking this to my daughter's golf event tomorrow where I have to walk 18 holes 2 days in a row in the heat. The swag is not a revenue generator for us. It's about spreading mission awareness. And I want to share a quick story about that. One of the women in the campaign was wearing her hoodie, and she was in line at the post office. And I think on the back it said something like, "I build doors, ask me how." So this old man behind her tapped her on the shoulder and said, "What kind of doors do you build?" And she was like, "Doors of equality." But they had a conversation about what building doors is. And that's what happens when you wear swag. That's what happens when you're able to promote a mission and build awareness. I would love to be able to see pictures of our swag in Egypt, Australia, the UK, Florida, California. Amazing. You can also call and leave us a voicemail. I absolutely adore waking up to seeing my Gmail account with a voicemail. It's just a Google number. It's 216-307-1917. 216-307-1917. Leave us a voicemail. Is there something that I said even tonight that resonated with you? Or maybe you didn't agree with it and you want to share your thoughts. We turn these voicemails into content, and it's a great conversation starter. And it's a great way to get your voice heard under the brand of Building Doors. Lastly, if you want to sponsor a podcast episode, a live event, or even the entire campaign, someone did reach out to me recently asking to sponsor a live event. And I want to talk about the live events and the podcast for a minute. John Leno recently hosted, he was actually one of the first to host a LinkedIn Live, and his topic was "Your website sucks, let's fix it." He got 6 clients as a direct result of that webinar. Earlier in this speech, I talked about how our community may not be 10, 20, 30K, but they're engaged and they support. That is a prime example of how our community shows up. If you show up in service of this community, they show you love back. I also know that there are some women who have reached out to me, and probably women who are watching right now, that want to become a door builder. And so I want to explain a little bit about what that looks like in 2026. We will have open submissions in October. What does submissions mean? It simply means that you email us with links to your work. You can say a little bit about yourself and why you want to be a door builder. A peer committee will choose the 2026 door builders, just as they did for 2025. And I want to repeat this again. A peer committee will choose the door builders, not Christy Harst solely, a peer committee. And we typically, last year, we kept submissions open for 2 weeks, and we broadcast the submissions on, or accepting submissions on, our social media channels. So you can look for those there. There's something I want to share about what it means to be a door builder. It's more than just revoicing a script originally voiced by a man. You can take that reel and use it as a tool in marketing yourself to potential brands. You can take your involvement with the campaign and use it as a tool. But more importantly, when you sign up to be a door builder, you sign up to like every other woman's post and share it to your network every time. If I send an email asking for something, or asking you to go like this post or go do this, it's a commitment of time. There are door builders who have talked about the mission of Building Doors to their agents, to casting directors, and to clients, and have brokered conversations where the 3 of us get on a Zoom call and we talk about how we advance this mission together. Being a door builder is a commitment, not just to voicing something, but to the mission of equality, not only for yourself, but for all the other women in our industry. There's not many times, in fact, there's only one other time I can think of, where I've been able to stand up and publicly thank people. And when you're caught off guard, you forget a bunch of people, right? So I want to quickly share some gratitude to the following people. Brandon Miller. If you don't know who Brandon Miller is, he's the first person I called and talked about my frustration. And he is the one that helped me map out the idea of Building Doors. He also has generously volunteered to create every single door builder reel. Sandy Harrison Cooksey and Amy Selma, Marion Mills, Global Builders, Marwa Khalil, Katerina Surtees, and Susie Coleman. My research buddy, Pat Kennedy. Lawrence Payne, steady as a rock. Our 10 campaign ambassadors. All of the door builders, all of these amazing women who've signed up to not only lend their voice, but their time in service. I want to make sure this next thank you is clearly, and the impact or the weight of what I want to say is very clear. I want to give my sincerest gratitude to the voiceover community. If you're listening or watching this and you don't work in the voiceover community, you're missing out. The voiceover community is so generous, beyond supportive, giving. They are by far the best professional community I have ever been associated with. And this campaign wouldn't be what it is, and we wouldn't be a year and 4 or 5 months in without them. I'd like to thank our data entry volunteers. They help track data from sporting events that they would otherwise just be sitting and watching anyways. Jeffrey Mikado, Soraya Butler, and Veronica Berea. And every single person who has ever liked, tagged, or shared our content. When I was growing up, I was always told, you're too much, you're too loud, you're too in your face, you're too this, you're too that. Looking back on the last year and 4 months of this campaign, I think about all the people I've met. Oh gosh, the stories I've heard. The stories from women, not only in voiceover, but in male-dominated industries like insurance. And then I think about the progress we have yet to make. And you know what I've realized? I'm not loud enough. If there's one thing I hope you walk away with from today, it's this. Loud? It's just the beginning. Too much this, too much that. Listen, that's a compliment from now on. And if you think women and other marginalized groups should simmer down, quiet down, I'm so sick of hearing it, you're about to be very uncomfortable for quite some time. Because women are not just half the population. We are driving the economy. We are 70% of consumer spending power, 83% of single parents holding families together, doing 66% of the world's labor and producing 50% of the food that feeds this planet. We have been small and silent for too long. We've been shushed and dismissed for too many decades. Right now is the time to be too loud, too bold, and too much. Women's voices don't just deserve to be heard in the rooms we're in. They are needed in the rooms we've never been invited to. And the onus isn't just on women. Men, stand up. Call out misogyny when you hear it, and use your position of power to make space for women's voices to be heard and valued. Let's build some doors together across industries, across cultures, and into every room we aren't invited to. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to take some questions now, and I'm going to see over here, Marion has been collecting some comments and questions, so here we go. Michelle said some of the best engagement on social media I have seen. Oh, thanks, Michelle. Yeah, thank you very much. Cheryl said Christy is doing a one-woman show and is on fire. Question. Michelle asked, how and when will you allow for new builders into your community? So I think I addressed that. In the fall, we are going to open up submissions for the 2026 door builders. I have yet to decide how that's going to look. Meaning this year we did 12, and I don't know if we're going to do more or not. I will say this. Even today I had a meeting with a potential partner, a brand, and they had spent some time on our website, and they commented on the reels that they watched of the women. The reels are a powerful tool. And I was interviewed for an article with Crane's Business. And when I got on the phone with the reporter, he said, I just spent the last 45 minutes on your site watching all of these women do their thing, and I'm fascinated. So I know that women revoicing ads traditionally done by men is a powerful tool to advance this mission. And I don't want to do the same thing every year. I don't want to do the same old, same old. I need to switch it up. But I haven't decided exactly how that might be switched up next year because I want to be super creative about it. So if you're looking to be a door builder in 2026, look for the announcements on our social media in the fall. Likely October, we'll start to collect submissions. Again, submissions is simply sending an email to our Building Doors address. Everything will be on there with links to your work. If you want to share a little bit about yourself, you can as well. And then a peer committee will review those. We have a voting system. And then we take all of the people that we've chosen and make a public announcement. But first, obviously, you're notified. So ideally, that process takes 4 weeks total. So we know going into 2026 who's voicing as a 2026 door builder. And let's see here. Sandy asked, what is your biggest victory since launching the campaign? What is the most shocking thing? And what does the campaign need the most? Okay. What is your biggest victory since launching the campaign? I don't know that I can identify one. The first big victory was my conversation with Valvoline. It really made a light bulb moment go off because they committed to auditioning an equal number of men and women every time they do a brand campaign because of Building Doors. So that means that Building Doors was responsible for putting a woman's voice in a room where it had never been before. And that was a big light bulb moment for me. It was like, wow, look what we can do. Look what we can do. And that's what I strive for with every conversation that I have with brands. I think I'm super surprised at how easy it is to get to brands. But I never thought that as a voice actor, right? I thought, oh, there's no way I could talk to these people. But really, it's definitely very doable. What is the most shocking thing? I'm debating how I should answer this. I think 2 things. One, I am surprised at how many women don't like what I'm doing. That's surprising to me. They let me know. And I would say number 2, there have been moments where not only male voice actors, but men in VO adjacent lanes that I'm pitching Building Doors to, sometimes the things they say that slip out, they think they're well-intended, but people are saying the quiet parts out loud. I will say that. People are saying the quiet parts out loud. So that's shocking. And what does the campaign need the most? The campaign needs some funds, some sponsors. I do have volunteers who help me, and I'm terribly grateful for them. I mentioned some of them, but I spend the majority of my time on the campaign. And it would be great to have access to funding via sponsorships from brands to be able to heighten what we're doing. Because right now, funds are what keeps me from going to the next level. And again, I refuse to ask the voiceover community. So right now, I'm trying to have strategic meetings with potential brands that are either in the audio space or in VO adjacent lanes that believe in the mission of equality, gender equality, and what we're doing. Because I don't just want anybody, right? I don't want just any money. I want something that makes sense so that they benefit and Building Doors benefits. And then the community of women are the ones that benefit the most. Diana Duran said, louder for the people who don't believe in data. Listen, data. I love me some data. Listen, I have some data that I'm not ready to share yet, but is super, super powerful. I have a poll on our website. I currently have about 350 people. I mentioned a little bit in the speech about it. If you haven't taken the poll, I highly suggest you go and take the poll. But the things that I am learning is that to make the case for gender equality in voiceover, it's not just something I feel. It's not just an opinion I have. the stats back it up. The stats back it up that women don't have access to the same opportunities that men do in voiceover when it comes to male-centric genres. And sometimes, that makes sense. It makes sense. I'm not trying to male bash or brand bash. We have, I think, 30% of our Instagram followers are men. We have men that show up for us and conduct lives, and many who have volunteered to be on the podcast. So I just think that data is the best way to show that change does need to happen in our industry, in this niche, in this section. And it's not just promo, it's commercials too, as clearly evident by the data I've collected from watching the Super Bowl. Our volunteers, data entry volunteers, have watched golf, tennis, baseball, and these are all typically male-dominated sports, and it's pretty always lopsided. It's always pretty lopsided. Okay, so I want to thank everybody who has tuned in to watch. This will be turned into a podcast. You can fold some clothes listening to the podcast. And we'll also live on our YouTube channel so you can rewatch it. Thank you very, very much for all the support that you've given Building Doors. And leave us a voicemail with more of your thoughts if you want. And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Marian, for handling the chat. Thank you, Sandy, for the intro. And I hope that you continue to follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and tune in for our live events and for our podcast. Enjoy your evening. Stay cool. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Building Doors podcast. Want to hear more? Check out all our episodes at buildingdoorsvo.com/podcast and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Building Doors VO. We'd love to hear from you, so call us on our 24/7 hotline at 216-307-1917 and leave us a voicemail with your thoughts. Do you want to support the podcast? Well, we love coffee. Buy us a cup through the link in the description or at buildingdoorsvo.com. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep speaking up, and let's keep building doors together.